water is life. Whatever we're doing to the water, we're doing to our body. What are we doing to our wonderful rivers, our wonderful streams, our oceans? How are we caring for them? How are we keeping the people that make decisions accountable?
This is the Bremerton Naval Complex. It's the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, and the Navy operates here and has for a long time. And they bring decommissioned aircraft carriers here. In 2017, we discovered that they were scraping the bottom of one of the decommissioned aircraft carriers right into Sinclair Inlet, this waterway here, letting all of the paint and debris fall right to the bottom of the inlet. So we sued them, along with the Suquamish tribe and Washington Environmental Council. The state of Washington joined our case, and we prevailed. The Clean Water Act is turning 50 this year, and is this amazing federal law, a set of laws that has incredible potential to protect and restore our waterways. That potential has been partially realized. The Clean Water Act looks really good on paper. The permits look decent on paper, but they are all meaningless if they're not implemented, and in most cases, implementation requires enforcement.
Wonderfully here, standing on the ancestral lands of our Duwamish people, the first people of Seattle. Our Duwamish River was declared a Superfund site in 2001. Our organization was created to make sure that people that are being impacted by it had the voice and the representation to make sure all those changes and all the cleanup was going to represent what the community thought it would be important. Here, this is to show this park that when you listen to community as the expertise of people living here, this was possible. We're very proud for community being centered on the decision to make this park so accessible and bringing what community thought it was important, which will be bringing habitat and bringing an access, a connection to the river by the community of the Duwamish Valley.
Downriver below us is the Duwamish River. And as you come up the river, you come into the Green, which goes through agricultural land, and then comes around into this valley called Green Valley. And this is the Middle Green River right here. This river has been traumatized for years, clear back to contact with colonization. Each of these sections of river has a different function, as a different part of the life stage of the salmon.
Stormwater is all the water that comes off the landscape, everything that lands on people's roofs, on their lawns, on their driveways, on the streets. There's a huge human signature in what goes into stormwater. It's absolutely considered pollution. In fact, it may be the biggest source of pollution to the Puget Sound.
One area of the Clean Water Act that Soundkeeper works most regularly with actually prohibits the discharge of pollutants unless there's a permit in place that allows certain levels of pollution from certain facilities. So we scrutinize and improve those permits, and we enforce them.
In 2018 is when Puget Soundkeeper, together with WAP, which is the Waste Action Project, started a lawsuit. Come to find out that here it is 2018, and there's still so many discharge of PCBs. When we think about environment, we are not only thinking about the water, we're also thinking about all these other cumulative impacts and intersections that are making our community sick, sicker and sicker.
Boeing is a major industrial player on the Duwamish River, and one of their facilities that's regulated by a Clean Water Act permit is the Military Delivery Center. They service military planes. We discovered that they were discharging astronomical levels of PCBs, and so we sued them in partnership with Waste Action Project. They had to pay $750,000 for completion of the Loans Levee restoration project.
Fortunately, Puget Sound Keeper had a case going with Boeing Military, and so the money from that case was able to be transferred over to this project. So you have a Clean Water Act case where somebody's dumping pollution into the water, and then you have the funding that's moved from that facility into this land, and you have these trees that are now growing. This section right here is actually the old channel of the river from probably 100 years ago, and now water's flowing back through it because the levee's gone. And it allows the river to kind of do what it wants to do and claim a bunch more land and create backwaters where fish can rest.
We have very well-known cases of salmon dying before they can spawn because of pollution that's in stormwater. That pollutant is tied to a breakdown product from what's in car tires. We know green stormwater infrastructure, especially that mixture of sand, compost, and plants, is able to strip 6-ppd quinone out of stormwater, and so renders the stormwater less toxic to salmon. The challenge is, how do you get all the stormwater, so much of the stormwater that ends up in creeks and streams, to move through these green stormwater infrastructure systems? The challenge is in the implementation of it and doing it in an equitable way.
On the creeks that we go to water quality monitor, it looks just completely different from what it is out here. What we find at those lost urban creeks are, foaming up at the very end of the creek. I mean, there's trash bags everywhere. We collect at least 2 pounds of trash from almost every site. It's just not a good sight to see.
Knowing that I can just come here and be able to see what nature is doing. Like, we're along the river right now, and all I want to do is dip my feet in. Being able to have access to that is such a great opportunity.
It makes me feel at peace, and it also makes me feel fulfilled.
Some people think that youth aren't doing anything, but here we are by this river, and we're actually helping, and we're doing the work and putting in the effort. The social injustices that lower income communities face because of the water that they're surrounded by them. And so I think that's really changed my mind and my perspective.
We really are dreaming of a PCB-free, of a pollution-free river. Our main mission has been to make sure we're working with the communities that are not represented. We're working with our coalition members like Puget Sound Keeper, like Waste Action Project, working with also the government to keep them accountable for what they need to do. It's the 50th year celebration of Clean Water Act. We want to see it in action, not in paper, and we want to see it happening right now.
Any member of a community or group that represents the community like us can enforce these regulations. And so anyone who uses or enjoys any of these waterways that we seek to protect and that we're prosecuting pollution into can help us with those cases by being a standing witness, who are willing to say that they're a member of Puget Sound Keeper, that they use or enjoy the waterways that we're protecting, and that they think our lawsuit is going to advance those protections.
You know, that's exactly why we do it, right? It's to take care of each other. It's a reciprocal relationship, and it's like a food chain, right? That's what we're trying to take care of here. So yeah, that's what I believe, and it's been life-changing, honestly.
The idea is that we're trying to create sustainable ecosystem. We have kids, I have kids, and I want to be able to create a world that is just as good as the world that I grew up in and lived in. And I want them to be able to live in this environment that, you know, we all love and, you know, it's so incredible and we cherish. So this is what it's about. It's about them, it's about their futures and future generations.
50 years of improving waterways across the country. I would say we're halfway there, and it better not take another 50 years to get all the way there.